Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out 2-sentence horror. Story 1. When the intruder broke in, I dialed 911 only to be met with an automated message. You're using our free tier, please wait or upgrade for immediate assistance. Ah, I forgot I cancelled it to cut costs. Story 2. Give it to me babe, I said with a nurturing tone. Mad in love, my victim plucked his teeth out one by one for me to eat them like grapes. Story 3. You try to pick up your dad's watch from the bedside table, but when you touch it, it crumbles to dust. As the bits fall from your fingers, they start to blow away, along with everything else in the room. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 4. She awoke to her face gently being stroked. After a moment, she let out a scream as her severed hand jumped off the bed and scuttled across the floor. Story 5. I don't know how else to describe it. It looked human. Story 6. Please regged boasts permabans and literally 1984. This is all dumb. For the past several months, the sub has experienced a flood of intentionally poor quality stories in an effort to get onto parody subs and TikToks. We've historically hit you with a strike, and if you received 3, you were perma-banned. Check out the wiki. However, if you've submitted one of these stories in the recent past, you may have noticed that your account was perma-banned from 2-sentence horror without going through the strike process. While we've made this current one and done rule known within each of our monthly announcements for forever, we felt it was only fair to have a separate post to lay out the approach. If and when these posts chill out, the mod team will reconsider this rule. Until then, please continue to report these intentional poor quality stories, read the sub rules, and submit awesome, horrifying tales to maintain the quality of the sub. Story 7. According to the announcement, whatever was the last sentence of a person would become reality. My last sentence was, what if the protective mucus of the stomach did not work? Story 8. I don't know which was worse, unexpectedly seeing my son's face at the playground after the funeral, or the realization of why the doctors had insisted on a closed casket. Story 9. Passengers, please fasten your seat belts. And call your family and tell them you love them. Story 10. As the woman cried over the phone, I told her to repeat the story of her assault without leaving anything out. Not a single detail I added as I slowly unzipped my pants. Story 11. The sound of my baby's screaming would have been music to my ears. But the only sounds that filled the delivery room were the incessant beeping of the machines and my obstetrician's whispered condolences. Story 12. I woke with a start to find something hard in my mouth and I gagged as a squirt hit the back of my throat, filling my mouth with a disgusting taste. As the expanding foam filled my lungs, my oxygen-starved brain started to shut down and the last words I heard were, "Right, just the kids to go." Story 13. Every time I tell someone about the abomination, it starts pursuing them instead of me. I'm sorry, but my survival is more important to me than a bunch of strangers on Reddit. Story 14. I knew I was in trouble when Dad stomped toward me with his belt in his hand. I didn't fully realize how much trouble until I felt it tighten around my neck. Story 15. When I opened the bucket, it was filled to the top with blood. Little did I know, the blood was my own. Story 16. NOV23. I nod uneasily as my husband talks about his day at the dinner table. I don't know what's scarier, the fact he's alive, or the fact he dug himself out. Story 17. He loved to watch me as I slept and every evening had secretly experiment with sedatives in my bedtime tea. He had no clue I was switching the pills for placebos and filming his nightly ritual of undressing me while I played dead. Story 18. I see you when you're sleeping. I know that you're awake. Story 19. Normally everyone's excited when we go places, but this time they just seem off. When the car finally stopped, I realized why. I hate when they bring me to the vet. Story 20. I felt my eye swelling shut as my husband yelled at me for being a fat cow. So that night I took the kitchen knife and made him into a steer. Story 21. The laughter echoes around me as I finish the last cut and finally remove my remaining ear in the hopes of silence for the first time in weeks. Despite having no ears, the maniacal cackling of that giant old prostitute from the red light district grows louder, and my madness-driven laughter joins hers as I finally fall into the pit of insanity. Story 22. My oldest child was finally old enough to stay home and watch over his little brother. He never really did like Levi that much, but when I returned home and saw him punching a mutilated mass of blood, flesh, and hair, I started to wonder why I ever left him home alone. Story 23. I found a new way to get the best selfies. Optography seems to capture the moment better than any camera I've tried. Story 24. I logged on Reddit today. You can imagine my horror when I saw what the Islamists did, based on a real story. Story 25. Every time I killed someone I buried their body in the woods. Tonight, as I was preparing to bury my latest victim, I found a freshly dug grave waiting for me, with my name etched on a crude wooden marker. Story 26. Food really does taste better when someone else cooks it, said the father, beaming at his wife. I wouldn't know, said the wife quietly, as she served up dinner for the two waiting children. Story 27. I thought I was safe, the killer could only stab chairs. Unfortunately, I was sitting down. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 28. Now that I was able to meet him, I asked God why so many people suffered. I love my creations, but I did not create humankind. Story 29. I had an itch on my skin and thought nothing of it. 7,000 years later, it won't stop itching. Story 30. My mom bought me a face wash and a body scrub, the face wash formula so mild I could have my eyes open when using it. Today I grabbed the wrong bottle. Story 31. I asked why my friend said I only had 30 seconds left to live. His only reply was, 29. 28, 27. Story 32. I'm feel useless nowadays, but I'm glad my family comes to visit the nursing home every once in a while. Wait, when did I start typing a Reddit post? Story 33. My mom had severe dementia, so I wasn't surprised when she would explain her recent constant injuries as being caused by an evil bird, even though it's impossible for a bird to tear off her fingernail or leave burns up and down her arm. Then, at Mom's funeral, a woman I've never seen before sweetly introduced herself as my older sister Robin, and that she's glad she had the chance to get to know her biological mother before she passed. Story 34. The fortune teller warned me pride would be my downfall, so I endeavored to live humbly, even moving to Botswana to help build wells. It was a moment of both revelation and regret as the lions encircled me. Story 35. My hairdresser told me I'd regret dyeing my red hair black. After I woke up to my insides being sawed open after a underdose of anesthetic, I knew she was right. Story 36. As the undead approached our base, I knew I had no choice as I put the gun to my head to commit suicide before the bastards could eat me. But after pulling the trigger, I heard a click as I realized my last magazine was empty. Story 37. Our Father who art in heaven, I pray as I panic. I knew it was over for me when the ghost started laughing and prayed with me. Story 38. After spending many long days lost at sea, I was relieved to finally see something in the distance. I only wish I knew where Point Nemo is, and where the closest people are. Story 39. I held my eyes closed, wishing for the scratching thing I heard to disappear. When I opened them, it was gone, along with my eyes. Story 40. It's so quiet when the kids are sleeping, says the father. Yet totally quiet, says the mother with a grin on her face, holding the glass of milk she just fed them. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 41. James was behind the wheel when he received video proof of his wife's infidelity and snapped. I, however, had no idea why the 18-wheeler in the far lane abruptly swerved through highway traffic in my direction. Story 42. So apparently the hydraulics system on this old piece of junk is broken. The plane started shaking as it oversped and brought me closer to the ground. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 43. I was scared when a man ran up to me at the bus stop and screamed in my face right now. On the bus an old woman was staring at me and mouthing the same words, and when I got home my dog burst into flames screaming, "You have to wake up right now." Story 44. DEC-23 After checking, double-checking and even triple-checking all the data collected on the wayward asteroid, the greatest scientific minds on Earth agreed there could only be one course of action. Pray. Story 45. My husband is the only person I can trust. He's made sure of that. Story 46. They say you can't hear in the vacuum of space. Mission Control thinks I'm insane, but I swear I heard footsteps and something breathing behind me. Story 47. The twin girls looked so pretty together in the photograph, perfectly mimicking each other's poses and obviously looking very happy. Though I did have to wonder why her husband never showed up to the photo shoot, or why her twin wore his clothes, or why they stared at me as if they were going to do something bad to me soon. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 48. I felt nothing but terror when I saw those eyes staring at me through the crack in the doorway. I can't believe it broke through another set of chains. Story 49. As I woke up in the morning I was wondering where my husband was. Then my other personality took over, and I remembered everything. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 50. My doctor diagnosed me with Capgras syndrome. I keep telling him that my wife admitted it, but he won't believe me. Story 51. I hate when I fumble with my keys. In the dark, about 20 feet away, I hear raspy laughter because I cannot stop shaking. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 52. My eyes teared up as my boyfriend got to one knee and nodded at the ring. At the crack of my boyfriend's whip, I crawled to the center of the circular arena and faced the hungry circus lion as the crowd cheered in excitement for the imminent deadly battle. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.